So are you pacing yourself correctly? Today I'm going to teach you how to do so for both long rides, group rides, and TTs. Hey everyone, it's Graeme Street. Join me here on cyclecore.com or on my YouTube channel. It's been about a month since our last podcast, since my last video. Lots happened for me personally. Just real quick, I want to update you. I just completed my own goal with no entry fees, no races, no sanctioned events. That's my goal for the entire year of 2015, as many of you know. I decided to try to attempt 3 different 100-plus milers on 3 different types of bikes. My road bike, my mountain bike for 100-mile enduro, and my gravel bike, which was my most fun and pleasant trip, or most challenging trip in a 7-day period. Now, to do that, I had to pace myself really well from day to day. This is a learned skill. It's something that has to be practiced and acquired using a buildup of not just your training and your fitness, but your thinking as well. We've talked about this before. If you want to go stronger and faster on a bike, you can't just try to always train yourself stronger. You have to find ways strategically, mentally, and emotionally to deal with the fatigue of longer, hard rides. Today I've got 2 different listener questions, both containing to pacing in their own way. If you watched my last rider mistake video, number 3, wasting energy. Man, if you want to go out and do a 100-miler, if you want to do a strong group ride, it comes down not just to how good your FTP is, how much power you can throw out for 8 minutes or 20 minutes. That means nothing. What it means is how well do you conserve energy and not waste it. When it comes to pacing an event, pacing is everything. I don't care if you've put in 50 weeks worth of training. If you get to game day and you can't pace yourself well, you won't do well. You will waste energy too early and you'll come in suffering, limping, and crying into the finish. And trust me, I've been that rider in years past. Jack writes in, Graeme, on my weekend group rides, I tend to lose steam towards the last few hours and have trouble holding on or lose the group altogether. I'm worried I'm going out too hard or not fit enough for the group. What can I do, Jack? Okay, Jack, this is a real common issue that I've dealt with personally and I deal with customers and premium members around the world all the time. Falling off the pace. First of all, just a quick caveat before I give my tips here. Doing a ride of any distance with a local group, A group, B group, C group, is never going to be indicative of helping you work on pacing. It's true. I know many of you want to believe, well, I just keep going out my group, that's my impetus, my motivation to go ride. We do 60 miles every Sunday, we do a 40-miler every Tuesday, I want to hang with the group. Here's the irony, here's the thing that I recommend to my consults, with the members that come to me for individual work. Usually when I have a rider falling off the pace or not being able to budge their pace faster, the first thing I do is have them remove themselves from the group. And I've said this again and again, and I'll keep reiterating this as many times as I can. You want to get faster? Remove yourself from the group. And what's ironic is by doing so, you begin to address your pacing issues, your speed, your strength, your efficiency, your aerodynamics for you in a contained solo unit. There's no better way to get faster on a bike than to work with yourself. I cannot stress this enough. By practicing these things in advance, whether it's with my HIIT sessions or with in-ride workouts, working on your technique, working on your power, sustainability, you bring them back into the fold in a group ride, and now everything changes. And the reason why is not that you've just gotten stronger, but you become more adapted to your brain and your body working together. I know some of you laugh at me that I talk about this body-brain connection. Just go out there and hit it, man. Go out there and kill it. Keep trying. Keep trying to kill it as much as you want. I went out on a TT just after finishing those 3 centuries. On this bike right here, I just built it back up myself. It's been 3 years since I've had my favorite bike back in my stable. I did a 40K TT, so about 25 miles in just over an hour. That's about 23.5 miles an hour for the TT. Did I brute force myself through the TT? You efficiently and strategically work through the TT, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. Same thing goes for a group ride. So if you want to get stronger for a group ride, you have to first be able to pace yourself for the same distance or time given. So if every Sunday you're doing a group ride of 50 miles or 60 miles, take 3 Sundays out of 4 or 2 Sundays out of 4, remove yourself from the group, go out on a similar or the exact same course, or you have multiple loops in your area, and work on your efficiency over that course. I can't believe how many riders don't do this, because you start to understand what you can hold at your output for both heart rate, power, and sustainability hour after hour after hour. And if you're falling off the pace, there's a couple other suggestions that I've got for you. Usually with a group ride, you're falling off the pace because the first segment of time in a typical group is they go out too hard, too quick. That's just a group ride dynamic, which is the other reason why if you're not used to going out hard in the first 15, 20, 30 minutes of a hard group ride, expect to fall off the pace, even if you're a strong rider. So what we do is we try to help individuals build their intensity on the front end. This is not a natural thing. It's not a natural thing for me. It's not a natural thing for most riders. And the older you get, the harder this is to practice and do. Most older riders in 35, 40, 45, 50, you hit them hard in the first 30 minutes, and what should have been a good stable ride is now kind of like this. And it's because they don't practice going out hard. So suggestions in regards to workouts that I offer, the new HIT 40 sessions, the in-season ones that I just released. HIT session number 7, Hard Start Master. The whole point of the workout is to train your body to get used to zone 5 level efforts, and more importantly, to recover quickly between those accelerations. Remember, the difference between a solo ride and a fast group ride is what? It's going to be the accelerations, not the sustained output. I know many of you confuse the issue. If I'm going out with a group, then it's harder the whole time. And that may be the case with an experienced group working together. But in general, you're going to get this yo-yo effect. Very hard zone 5 efforts, followed by short briefs of recovery and a re-acceleration. And it's those accelerations that tend to fall most people off the back. In particular, if the ride starts out hard. So we want to practice that in our training solo before we go. I do it on the trainer because that's the easiest way to pinpoint execution of zone 5 or VO2 max level efforts, and then quickly recover, extend again, and then put yourself into your zone 4 rhythm. If you've done HIT session number 7 with me, the new one that's released, it sucks. It's hard. But it's going to train not just your body, but your brain to understand that we're going to go out of the stables pretty hard. And then you have to find your ability to maintain a threshold effort for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Most people can't do that, even strong riders. It's because they don't practice it. So it's about reversing the order. Second thing is HIT session number 8, Strong Finish Master. You can combine these two workouts together to have a hard start, threshold TT, then it goes threshold TT, strong finish. Because a lot of riders might do well in the beginning or the middle, and they get towards the end and they don't have that oomph, that power that they're looking for sprinting to the line or finishing the group at the front feeling good as opposed to shelled off the back. And again, I've been both of these riders. I would much rather be the guy at the front feeling great and untouched because I conserved energy, I used proper efficiency, I've trained for this. And now instead of being off the back feeling like I'm going to collapse, I feel strong and can keep going on my own. The reason I'm able to do that now is that I've learned this the hard way, and I've practiced more and more of my training solo to deal with that. I'd say half of my rides or more, I finish at a pretty hard clip, above pace. So usually for me, I find the pace given the distance of the terrain given. And then towards the end of the ride, if I'm training, I'm increasing pace by 5%, 10%. It doesn't sound like much, but that push towards the end of a ride trains your body to be stronger at the end. Again, your body wants to learn. It doesn't just want to get more fit. Your body gets more fit because it's learning what you are teaching it in your training. If you're just going out and riding and say, well, I do 200 miles a week, so when I get to my Sunday rides, I've done enough miles to stay with a fast group, good luck with that. It's not going to happen. I see riders do this all the time. They're doing 300-400 miles a week. Get into the group, they still get shelled. Doesn't mean they're not a good rider. It doesn't mean they're not fit. It just means they're not fit for the conditions given. There's a difference. Next thing. Many of you, and this is a suggestion about one of my programs, this would be in particular the Cycle 90 Masters base program. I know many of you are concerned, well, it's in season, Graeme, go back to a base program. Yeah, I've got it, and yeah, that program helped me get stronger over the winter months or during my base days. Why would I go back to it now? Listen to me, again and again. You want to get stronger, especially if you're dealing with pacing or group rides. You always have to go back to base fundamentals. If you're falling off the group at hour 2 or hour 3, it's a good indicator that your muscular endurance might not be there. Remember, you can't do acceleration after acceleration after acceleration without the muscular endurance in your legs and your hips and your core to back it up. So if you think it's all just about breathing heavy and having a good cardiovascular system, which is important, the muscular endurance supports that system. So if the muscular endurance begins to break down, you start to pedal squares as opposed to circles. As a result of that, you begin to lose what? Power and efficiency. The more inefficient you become, the more energy you waste. The more energy you waste, the slower you go, or the more you suffer. It's one of the two. You either fall off the pace or you're suffering so bad that why am I out here doing this? I'm not getting paid to be out there and suffer like this. It's a group ride. So we want to be strong enough to have fun, and to do that, the core work, the muscular endurance, has to be there. I would recommend in this situation going back to Cycle 90 Masters, the base edition, for 2 to 4 weeks. Separate from your group, go back to muscular endurance basics, include the HIIT session number 7 and 8. So if you have the new programs that I've released, I gave coaching sessions with those. Listen to the coaching sessions. I will teach you how to use these specific 4 or 5 different workouts and how to insert them into the Masters or Cycle 90 base protocol to boost your muscular endurance back up in a very short amount of time. We're talking like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Can you separate for 2 weeks for a 10-15% gain in sustainability for pacing and group rides? That sounds like a pretty good deal to me. You only have yourself to blame if you keep going out and repeating the same procedure, expecting a different outcome, and getting frustrated that you keep falling further and further off the pace. You need to work on you. Hopefully that helps answer your question there, Jack. Let's move on to Kennedy writes in, Graeme, I'm doing a weekly TT in my local area. I have no power meter or aero gear, but have heart rate and cadence. I can't seem to budge over 20 miles per hour for the 10-mile course. What can I do to increase my speed to 22 miles per hour? Thanks for any help. Okay. Speed, pace, time trials. I like time trials. I do them typically once a month, once every 6 weeks. If I'm in a performance, if I was racing this year, I would be doing TTs probably once a week. And to me, what a TT really is obviously a hard zone 4 or threshold level effort for between 30 and up to 65, 75 minutes. A flat line. If you want to look, in fact, you can actually go to my Strava account and look for yourself what the numbers look like from heart rate. It actually didn't have my power meter on this bike at the time, but I didn't need it because all I needed to really see was my heart rate and my pace for the course given. This is a course that I do all the time in my local area. It's about 25 miles long. I know it like the back of my hand. So for me, I get to remove confusion and just drill it at a specific corridor of my heart rate. So I maintain between 155 and 165, and really more accurately between 162 and 167, a very small corridor for the entire distance given. Remember, we talked about this in the last podcast. A seasoned rider can maintain a much smaller and narrower corridor for much longer than an inexperienced rider that's riding like this. Heart rate's up, heart rate's down, heart rate's up, heart rate's down. In a TT, especially a 10-mile TT, that heart rate should be pinned just below your VO2 max for 90% of the course. So 90% of the course, you should see the upper echelon of your zone 4 heart rate. Let's say your range is 155 to 165 for FTP on heart rate. That TT for the first 8 miles or so, you should be pinned at about 163, 164, and for the last mile or so, give or take, depends on the course, you're now above that number. So you should see this gradual tick up. If you're seeing this or you're seeing this, we need to work on that because you'll never be able to improve your speed if your heart rate and power output is not flat. We want those numbers to be flat regardless of the terrain given. Remember, on a TT course, and on any course, you want to increase your pace. When the course is hard, you work harder. When the course is easy, you work easier. When the course is really easy, you work almost nothing. 0. When I was on this TT 2 days ago, again, I should be whipped. 3 centuries in a row and then go do a 40K full-out TT at 23 plus miles per hour. You might say, well, hey, it's the aerodynamic bike, it's the wheels. Is the bike nice? Yeah. Is it fast? It's a fast bike. Could I have done that exact same TT on a regular bike with box rims and stuff? Absolutely. If you don't believe me, try it for yourself. Because if you're propped up in the wind, you don't have good muscular endurance or good power, you're not going to be sustaining that heart rate on a consistent basis. It won't matter how aero your gear is. It'll matter how efficient you are as a machine. So if you want to go from 20 miles per hour to 22, here's a couple suggestions. First, use your last TT effort with your heart rate monitor or the next one that you do and get your approximation for your heart rate zone 4 corridor for that 10 miles. Again, you should see it pinned almost right off the bat. Quick suggestion, big mistake for a lot of people that do local TTs, improper warm-up. You want to do a strong TT, you got to be warmed up like crazy. At least a half an hour protocol before you do, especially the shorter the distance, the longer the warm-up. That warm-up should include multiple sets of zone 4 plus level intensity between 1 and up to 5 minutes apiece. You should be sweating buckets before you watch. If you watch the Tour de France, you watch those guys getting ready for the prologue or for their TTs, they're doing warm-up for quite a while, but they're doing very strategic types of warm-up. They're not just hopping on their bike and casually pedaling the whole time. They're doing efforts to get the enzymes in their body, their muscles prepared for what's to come, okay? That needs to be done in advance. That could make up 1 mile per hour, half mile per hour, just right there. Testing your zone 4 outside is important. Testing it inside, I would recommend Cycle 90 Master Session number 5, Threshold Rotation Master. This is going to give you a better approximate of your FTP under varied conditions. So unless you have a controlled environment in your TT, it's pancake flat, no wind conditions, no changes in tarmac, no lefts, no rights. I mean, how often does that happen? Florida, Tucson maybe, not many, Oklahoma, I don't know, a place that's really flat and doesn't change very much. That's one thing. Most of us have varied terrain, uphills, downhills, corners, tight selections. This has to mean that we have to conserve energy, we have to conserve momentum, and we have to still flatten that course. That can be practiced on an indoor trainer, and it can be tested on an indoor trainer as well. So I use HIIT session number 5. It's not your typical FTP test. It's 25 minutes long. It's really hard. I'm going to have you going from as low as, I think, 75 RPM up to 110 and back down to 80, 85, 90, changes of gearing. This is reality in a TT. Getting on a trainer and picking one gear and being like a duck in water is one way to test, but it's not a very appropriate way to understand how your body reacts to differences in tension, gradient, and situation. The situation of how you're riding outside is key. Most inexperienced TT specialists or riders that want to do strong TTs are wasting energy at the wrong time. Okay, so when the course is getting easier, they're working too hard. When the course is getting harder, they're exhausted from working too hard on the easy sections. They keep losing power, losing efficiency. Next thing is working on your aerodynamics for longer. In that course, I was in my drops for the entire 65 minutes, without exception, no matter what the situation. To do that sounds easy. And this is a low drop, by the way. I've got it stacked at 0, and this thing's stacked pretty high. So I'm like this compared to my other bikes. And that's how it should be. But to do that, you have to be strong enough through your core and your back to make that happen. And more importantly, you have to be able to utilize your glutes and your butt muscles and your hamstrings correctly. If you're mashing down to the front of that pedal stroke and you're not learning how to pull the bike, you want to look at someone that TTs really well. Put on Fabian Cancellara and watch him TT or make a breakaway in Paris-Roubaix. This guy is not pushing the bike. This guy is pulling the bike forward, okay? There's a big difference between pushing down the bike and pulling the bike. These are the techniques we work on in Cycle 90 Masters. Again, a good suggestion to go back to the Masters program. Work on your fundamentals. Build that muscular endurance. Teach your body to pull the bike forward, not push the bike forward, okay? It's to me, it's something I've been working on for over a decade. To me, it's still the secret ingredient of more and more speed. Regardless of my age, I'm turning 40 this year. I'm faster now than I was in my 20s. I don't attribute that to just changes in fitness, but how I apply the current strength that I have. I had youth on my side back then. I'm getting older now, but my intelligence in relation to how I ride the bike is double or triple what it was back in my 20s. That's a big difference between those two things. You want to accumulate about 30 to 60 minutes of ride time per week, whether you're using my master's program, my in-season program, my whatever program of mine you're using. You want to accumulate more and more time in the drops. Get your body used to not just being lower and narrower, but also being more efficient. Lots of people try to get narrow and low, but they lose power and efficiency. They're not used to it. Typically for me, I'm pretty nosed up on the saddle. In fact, I'm pretty much riding the rivet for most of my TTs. I'm way forward and way low. And that's a very powerful aerodynamic position to be, but it's also very uncomfortable if you don't have the core strength and hip mobility to make that happen. So a quick suggestion for quick workouts to help you with TTs is going to be the new CycloZen 2.0 workouts, the power yoga, the 8-minute power routine, the fix the back stay in the drops. These simple stretching and strengthening exercises is what allows you to get lower and stay stronger through this corridor here for any ride that you do, in particular for a TT ride. I could not have done that good of a TT just recently. Again, I haven't done a TT in, it's been at least 3 months since my last TT. 3 months, I've only been doing endurance training from Cyclo 90. No TT, almost no zone 4 efforts at all. And I went out there and did pretty well. I was able to maintain the entire pace. This is not to gloat. This is to demonstrate that these things are congruent. Whether you're an endurance rider, a TT specialist, a group rider, all of these things apply all the time. Your back strength, your durability, your core strength, your muscular endurance, your efficiency on the bike. I don't care if you're going 10 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles, or more. The same rules apply. How you use those rules to your advantage on the course is what makes the biggest difference. My friends, I hope these tips are helpful. If you're new to me, new to my training, you're looking for a good program to get you stronger fundamentally for whatever kind of riding you do, centuries, races, group rides, just basic fitness, Cyclo 90 base is for you. If you're a little bit more advanced or you're a veteran user of mine, look to the Cyclo 90 Masters protocol. And if you're already using any of those protocols, look to my new Hit 40 Master Sessions, the coaching that comes with that, and the Cyclo Zen program. You can very easily tack that into your weekly training to get stronger, more aerodynamic, more efficient for any riding you do. I don't say these things lightly. I don't just produce workouts and programs to sell. I produce them because I use them. If you don't believe that they work, go and watch my Strava account, watch anything of mine that you want. You'll see nothing but this. And it's not because I'm doing something different that I don't share with you. I do the exact same stuff that I share with all of you all the time. In fact, all I really try to do is give you examples on, hey, you see, this is kind of working. I'm not a gifted athlete. I'm not a gifted cyclist. I've had to work at this for 30 years of trials, tribulations, mistakes, total failures, and learn over time how to change those things to work to our advantage. My friends, I hope this is helpful. Please share the video with friends or fellow club members or team members or cycling buddies. It always helps me out. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Until we speak again, or the smile on your face. I'll talk to you soon.